Hello! So, picking up a little on the topic of yesterday's video, I was with my intern boss and she was giving me a ride home, and for some reason I forgot how this came up. But we started talking about The Lion King, and I was saying, oh, in my personal opinion, The Lion King is one of the best executed animated films ever. And maybe even one of the best executed films of all time ever, live action or animated. And she was like, oh, why do you say that? And I tried to use the final scene to explain my point. The final scene being after Scar and the hyenas have been beaten, and then Simba is with his mom and Nala, and then it starts to rain, and then Rafiki motions Simba to go on top of Pride Rock, and then Simba just walks up there. So just that scene. Just the scene from when Simba starts walking up to Pride Rock to the very end. It's like the last 2 minutes of the film, but in my opinion, it's one of the most amazing feats and scenes in cinematic history ever. And I was trying to explain it to her, but I don't think I did a very good job. I was just like, the music and like the close-ups, they've got close-ups of Simba's paws, and then mid-shots, and then wide shots of the people looking up at him, and it's in slow motion, and it's raining, and it's just washing away the poison, and like symbolic, and it's cleansing Simba of his doubts of his identity, and it's just so amazing. And then my boss, while she's driving, she turns around, and she's like, are you crying? I was like, no. I'm not crying, but I could be. I'm trying my best not to cry, because just thinking about that scene and trying to describe it to you is making me tear up because it's so emotional. And then Simba's like call of the wild, then the circle of life starts up again, the music, and then the sunshine comes back, and then it goes full circle to the very beginning of the movie, and it's just so good, and the entire movie is amazing. And it also got me thinking, my boss was like, I'm not really that familiar with The Lion King, and I don't really care that much about The Lion King. And it got me to think that when I was taking a Disney Pixar class last summer, our teacher identified a lot with Bambi because that's what she saw in the theater. But personally, I've never been that big a fan of Bambi. In fact, I don't even think I've seen the entirety of Bambi in a really long time. But everyone else, like all the students in our class, were big on The Lion King and like The Little Mermaid and things that were in the Disney Renaissance period, and not necessarily things that were happening when Walt Disney was actually alive. So it just kind of was interesting to me because I feel like The Lion King is such a big movie. And even Frozen, in part of Frozen's marketing was that they were saying it's the biggest like Disney musical since The Lion King, which was not true. I mean, Frozen was good and it was very Broadway theatrical, but the music in The Lion King was far superior. Let's be real here. But it's kind of like, I wonder, I mean, I'm not a parent right now, but are parents right now raising their children on things that were in the Disney Renaissance? Or are they raising them on things that are recently coming out in the theater, like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs or something like that? And I mean, those films are fine, and like they're creative and funny and interesting, but I feel like they're not as mature, they're not on that same level like a lot of the films in the Disney Renaissance period were. And it's just kind of interesting to me. It makes me feel old. Like, oh, these young kids these days don't know what The Lion King is, and they don't know what they're missing out on, and they don't know about real culture. And it's just kind of sad. I would like to think that if I were raising my children, then I would raise them on all of the amazing animated works that came out when I was a child. But I don't know. it's just kind of sad that The Lion King was so prominent and like the number one movie, the number one like grossing animated movie in a long time. I don't know if that was adjusted or not adjusted with inflation, but it was definitely one of the most successful, and then Finding Nemo like knocked it off. But it's just kind of sad that something that was so great and still is great might eventually fade into the background of culture. It's a little sad. But either way, I still think that The Lion King is one of the best technically executed films in like pacing and editing and storytelling and message and art style and basically everything. And now I'm really inspired to make an entire like Tumblr meme series with gift sets and analysis in the description just for this purpose. And I think I will. But we'll see how much time I have during the summer. So, that's what I wanted to say today. So, yeah, The Lion King. I really like that movie, and I'm pretty sure that most of you guys do too. So, I also think that whenever I move into my like adult home, like I don't think I'm going to be living here after I graduate. Maybe for a little while, but I imagine that once I get a stable income and savings, then I would move somewhere where I could have pets. So I'm planning in the future that I'll have a nice house, room, apartment warming party, and we will watch The Lion King. That's the plan. So anyway, I hope you're having a good April, and I will see you tomorrow.